Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we'll be talking about SQL CTEs. CTE means Common Table Expression, and it's just a better way for writing SQL subqueries. In past two videos we talked about SQL subqueries, and in SQL subqueries we write a query inside another query. But for Common Table Expressions we use it to make subqueries neater. So in other words, instead of writing subqueries, you can write common table expressions, and this makes the whole process and your whole code look cleaner and easier to use. And I'm going to explain that with an example. So let's say, let's use this example. Let's say we are looking for the title and the page count of the longest book. So looking for the title and the page count of the longest book, that would mean we'd have to know what the number of the longest book is. Would it be 1,000 pages, 5,000 pages? We don't know. So if you would run a query to find that number and then use that number as an integer in a where clause, that would work, but that's a very wrong way of writing code like that, because if you update your database, that number would change. So that means your code would give you an outdated, in fact, the code will give you a wrong response. So that is where subqueries come in. That's just what I'm trying to say. So we will write a subquery that draws that number, that's the maximum page count number, and then attach it to the where clause of the outer query. So let's start from the outer query. We said we wanted to list or find the title and page count of the longest book. So we want to select title, we want to select page count, and we want to select it from book.books because that information is in the books table. I'm going to alias it B. So I'm going to have B dot as well. So this is my where clause, where this b dot page count, where b dot page count is equal to some number that we don't know yet. And to figure out what that number is, would then write an inner query, and we write it in a bracket. So we want to select the max from the page count. Let's see. Yes, we want to select the max from this column. So I want to select the max page count from book.books. So because this is a subquery, it won't have the same alias as my outer query. So we can go ahead, call this B1, and this would be B1. So we are done. So we did run this. This is the result. History of the ancient world, page count 600. So the thing with this is really good code, using subquery. But the thing with this code now is, supposing I have the need to work with this clause again, that means I would have to keep retyping it or just copy it, pasting it all the way down in my code. So why don't we just write a CTE? So what CTE is, so for the CTE we start with a width clause. So we give that a name. So let's call it max page. So let's call it max page. So with max page as, then this query, we put in this query. So let's say with max page at this. I'm just going to paste it to save time. So with max page as, so this is the query. Then, yeah, I'm just going to explain what we have here. So this is a, like I said, CTE. We write it using do with and as keyword. And we give that portion of the code that we, in this case, our inner query, we want to give it a name so that we can call it using this name for the rest of our code, just the same way tables work. So every time we call max page, it will return the results of this query. And if you look at this query, it's the same query we use to extract our max page, right? So this would give us the maximum number in the page count column, and it's going to return it as max. That means that column will be called max. And here we now write the query that we want. We want to select the title, we want to select the page count from the books table, and we want to join a max table to it just because we want to make sure that the number for this page count is the same as the number in this max page table. So when you run this, it should give you, let's see what's happening. Let's see, line 4, syntax error. One minute. Okay, so this has run and it's giving us the same result. Let's go again. Yeah, so like I said, the next time you call this, you just want to, instead of rewriting this whole query, you just use max page instead, and it just works like tables basically. So let's take one more example just to drive our point home. This would be a more complex example. Let's say we want to find the titles of the longest books by genre. So I know you're thinking about group by, and you're correct. So this would be the title of the longest book by genre. So this means that first off, you want to find all the genres, then you want to find the longest book from all the genres, then you want to find the title. So how are we going to write that? Maybe pause the video and think about it for a little while before we continue. So let's clear our screen. What do you do? So that means we are going to use CTEs for sure, and we want to, let's start with, what do we call it? Title of the longest book by genre. So first off, we want to write a CTE that would extract the genre and the max page count. We can do that, right? Because we're just going to select, so this is a genre. We're just going to select the genre and the max page count and then group by genre. So yeah. So let's call it a name. Let's call it Gen Max. Gen Max sounds better. Gen Max as, in brackets, we want to select genre and we want to select the max page count. Oh, I can't even spell page count. Okay, we want to select the max page count and we want to do that from the book.books table. And what's next? We want to group by genre. We want to group by genre. Right. So what's next? In the very next line, we would now write the code for extracting the title. So for that, we want to go ahead and select our title, and we want to do that from the book.books, and we want to find a way to connect it to this, right? To this CTE. So we are going to also select page count and genre. So we want to select, let's see, page count, and we want to select genre. So, and just in the next 30 seconds, you'll see why we did that. So we want to select these three things from this table, and we want to do a join with GenMax. So let's add GenMax to the mix. And now our where clause. So this is why we've added this to. Where this guy, right, is the same, is equals some page count here, and this guy is equal to some genre in this GenMax. So let's get on with it. So we have where, like I just said, page count, where page count is equals some page count here. So this table is called GenMax, so we're going to call it GenMax that would be GenMax.max, right? And so this should get into a bracket at this point. And what else? Genre is equals GenMax.genre. GenMax.genre. I think at this point, if we give this an alias, that would be great. So okay. Yes, it's ambiguous, just like I expected. So let's give line 5. So yeah, let's give this an alias. So let's call this B1. So that means we are going to have B1.B1. And I mean, this makes sense because now we are calling genre. The two tables have genre. So B1, I'm just going to label everything out. So, okay. Yes, I still have B1. Yes, so now we have run that, and this is what we have. For every genre, we have about 37 of them. Now we have the title and the page count of the biggest book. So we're going to end this video at this point. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe, and I'll see you on the